Welcome to my presentation. My name is Seonghun from Korean Institute of Sports Science in South Korea. I'm a reading author of the current study, and co-authors are Dr. Youngjit Lee from Bungmin University in South Korea and Dr. Stefan Shin from Vermont University in the United States. First of all, I'm sorry that we could not provide our presentation in person at the NASSM conference, but I hope you enjoy this recorded presentation. The title of today's presentation is Effect of Sports Enjoyment, Important Opportunities, and Sports Identity and Sports Satisfaction on Sports Commitment in other tennis league participants. Tennis is one of the most popular recreational sports in the world. In 2020, despite lockdowns and fewer opportunities to play sports in the United States, tennis participation significantly increased. As you can see the chart in the left, after nearly a decade of flat participation, a total of 21.64 million Americans aged 6 and older played a recreational tennis at least once in 2020. Compared to 2019, nearly 4 million more participants are played, and this is about 22% increase. Significantly, the number of new participants increased by 44%, about 3 million, and the returning players increased by 40%, about 3.82 million, compared to 2019. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the tennis industry was facing the challenge of decreasing participation rate among both frequent players and avid players each year. Despite the recent increase in tennis participation, to overcome the long-term challenges, it is vital for tennis marketers to have better understanding of tennis participants' attitude toward participation in the game of tennis and to know identical factors that influence them to become a frequent and avid players. So how keep these new and returning tennis participants motivated and committed? So researchers suggest that psychological characteristics, for example, enjoyment, identity, satisfaction, and commitment, are important constructs for addressing consistent sports participation behavior. Therefore, more research is needed on the psychological aspect of understanding participation in tennis. The concept of sports commitment has been widely examined as a construct explaining individuals' desire to continue to participate in certain sports. And scholars have demonstrated that highly committed sports participants are more likely to frequently engage in sports and spend considerable time, effort, and money on sports. In prior empirical studies, sports enjoyment and important opportunities have been shown to be key factors in increasing the level of sports commitment among other tennis participants. Based on the physical activity literature, Snyder suggests that sports identity and sports satisfaction significantly affect the level of sports commitment in adulthood. A previous study shows that an athletic identity has a direct, significant positive effect on sports commitment among other recreational soccer league participants. For sports satisfaction, it was examined interchangeably with the various constructs such as enjoyment, pleasure, fun, and intrinsic and extrinsic reward in sports and exercise literature. Wilson and his colleague replaced Scanlon's sports enjoyment construct with the sports satisfaction construct to examine the exercise commitment among college students. So in this study, explored sports satisfaction as a distinct construct which is separate from the sports enjoyment construct. Therefore, this study aims to investigate the relationships between sports enjoyment, important opportunities, sports satisfaction, and sports identity in sports commitment of other tennis participants. The diagram is the research model for this current study. For this study, a convenient sample of 226 other tennis participants involved in an amateur tennis league complete a self-report paper questionnaire at three different tennis facilities in the southeastern United States. A majority of the survey participants were the mean age were 56, and 85% of Caucasian were white, and 60% of female, and 70% of married or had a partner. And in addition, 50%, 52% of respondents' annual house income were greater than $100,000. For survey instrument, sports commitment and sports enjoyment were adopted from previous studies that used Scallons and her colleagues sports commitment model questionnaire in context of other sports and exercise participation and involved opportunities adopted from Wilson and his colleagues' measurement of involvement opportunity emphasized health and fitness benefits for exercise participants, and sports satisfaction was adopted from Baudet in a measurement of consumer satisfaction with the fitness organization, and then two measure sports identity. And Randall's and Jasu's identity scale was adopted, and the recently Pickett and Cunningham used this identity scale to measure yoga identification. For data analysis, first, reliability of validity of measures, principal component analysis, and then Coren alpha score was measured. And then descriptive and statistics and correlation analysis also conducted. And then lastly, simultaneous multiple regression analysis was performed. The principal component analysis was conducted, and then results indicate that KMO measures of sampling adequacy was 0.90, which is above the commonly recommended value of 0.70, and the Bartlett test was significant and based on elegant value greater than one criterion. The five factors emerged with 21 items explaining 60% of the total variance, and a parallel analysis also supported. And finally, the commonality were all above 0.3. And the Cronbach alpha score, except for the involved opportunity scale, all factors alpha score are exceed 0.70. Even the involved opportunity scale was 0.63 is questionable, but in this study we decided to keep this scale. Descriptive statistics indicate that all the measures met the recommendation of the thresholds of normality. Squamous is less than 3, and quateriosis is less than 10. And correlation analysis conducted to represent the values of the strength of the relationship between variables. And then correlation metrics indicate that all the correlations between variables were positively significant. A multiple regression analysis was conducted to predict other tennis participants' level of sports commitment from sports enjoyment, involvement opportunity, sports satisfaction, and sports identity simultaneously. The results indicate that a statistically significant relationship among sports enjoyment, involvement opportunity, and sports satisfaction, and sports identity, and sports commitment. And these four variables in combination account for approximately 55% of the variance in the regression model. These findings shows that sports enjoyment is the strongest predictor of the sports commitment, followed by sports identity and involved opportunities and sports satisfaction. For discussion, theoretically, the findings of this study advanced knowledge on tennis participation by addressing the theoretical relationships among commitment and enjoyment, identity, satisfaction, and involved opportunities. And this study supports that sports enjoyment is the strongest predictor of tennis commitment, and sports satisfaction is distinct construct from the constructs of sports and enjoyment and the fun. And moreover, sports identity and then health and fitness opportunities of tennis participation are important predictors of tennis commitment. For practical implications, to make the game of tennis keep attractive and maintain these new and returning participants, the marketers offer may offer mini or charitable tournament or training session for participants and their family members to ensure new and existing tennis players have access to quality programming that is safe and fun, that enjoy with others, who is in teammates for playing the league together, or their family members to come to the training session or the tournaments. So have a daily event to have more fun time, and that these events will help to developing social connection and increasing tennis enjoyment and identity among those participants. And secondly, the marketers need to emphasize health and fitness benefit of tennis participation. uh, Tennis, if played properly, can be a great opportunity to relieve stress and provide much needed exercise. So, previous study relate to health uh, and fitness benefit of the tennis participation. Uh, that study shows that those who play the game of tennis have higher general or physical and social and mental health score compared to the just general population. So there is a study showed that there is the greater health and fitness benefit if they uh, play tennis properly. And then keep posting and sharing visualize each individual's improvement. So the data driven report system will help the participants keep track their improvement of playing tennis. So if the coaches or the league or the facility managers have some the data to shows their participants not only for their improvement for training session or some the win and loss record of the league. So they might these data will help to the participants increase their tennis commitment. And lastly, provide a survey on satisfaction of leagues and tournaments or training session. So our study found that the sports satisfaction is important to predictor of the sports commitment. So make sure that the marketers need to keep tracking the participants' thoughts and opinions about their game of tennis and also their training sessions. In my last slide, I have some recommendation for the future research. First, the future study can examine the demographic differences in tennis participants. Specifically, the study can examine the proposed research model by gender and age range differences. And secondly, since the 55 variants are explained by four factors in this study, more available may influence greater sports commitment. For example, in sports commitment model, there is a social support and the personal investment variable. These variable can be used in our proposed research models. And then lastly, the features that can be used different theoretical construct and the measures of involvement opportunities and sports identity and sports satisfaction. That is all I have for today. Thank you for attending. My contact information is leeseonh at hotmail.com. Any questions?